Rage on that beat, going crazy.
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, the Solano Stallions podcast. My name is Carter Scott, as always, joined by my co-host Justin Brown. This week we've got Stallions GM Jonathan Smith back on the pod to talk about how things are going with the team and an update to the ABA season and the protocols needed to run during coronavirus times. We also get into a wild NFL offseason that's just getting started, NBA drama, the All-Star game and whether it should even be happening, the Knicks, and much more. It's a fun convo, so let's get right into it. Here's Stallions GM Jonathan Smith.
All right, joining us this week is the Stallions GM, Jonathan Smith, recurring guest on the pod. Technically our boss too. So welcome back, Jonathan. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. We're all partners in this, man. No boss. Partners.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Doing good. Happy to be back and come on and chop it up with you guys a little bit.
Yeah. We're just gonna not a whole lot going on. It's February. It's kind of that dead period of sports where you got football just ended. Baseball's kind of just getting started. Nothing to really talk about there. And then basketball is just kind of in the full swing of things. So just kind of running through. But we'll start with the Stallions. How are things going over there with obviously coronavirus pausing the season and all that stuff? So how's that all going?
Yeah, right now it's definitely kind of a sad, slow time just because the coronavirus and it getting to the point where the facility, so many facilities are either completely shut down or they just don't want to accept like the liability with playing right now. So with that, we just ultimately had to make the decision that, we want to put the season on pause, maybe start back up in a few months, depending on how the league is going, to get some games in with some of the rest of the ABA teams in the local area. But overall right now, it's just pretty tough. Just because there's so much uncertainty between the virus, results coming back, getting guys to come to regularly come in and get tested and everything like that. There's just a lot of uncertainty right now, especially in California, because there's so many shutdowns. And on top of that too, you just from an individual standpoint, you're putting guys' health at risk, and at risk. They have their families and everything they're going back to. So, ultimately, it's kind of on pause. We have started to open back up our facility up in Sassoon to kind of get guys in to do individual workouts, shooting workouts. We just got 2 new shooting machines, and we got like complete shooting workout plans and everything. So guys can come in and kind of get some individual workout and trainings in. I know a lot of the guys would prefer to be playing fives right now and getting like real games. But for the guys that want to just continue to work on their craft and use this extra downtime, all of that's really there for the guys that want to take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you said you guys finally got stuff opened back up a little bit to where you guys get to come in and all that stuff. So what kind of protocols do you guys have to follow? And how are you and other teams in the leagues kind of coping with these protocols?
So right now for us, like the most basic stuff, we have like a ton of hand sanitizer stations put together everywhere around them, constantly cleaning, constantly wiping down the basketballs and anything else that gets to be used. And then also we're, because we're part of the ABA, we're connected to be able to get regular COVID testing. Anytime we have any kind of event or workout, we can, our main contacts are in Sacramento. So they have some of the techs come down, they got the whole health suits and everything, gloves, and then we get the COVID testing for each event. It's a nose swab and there's a finger prick. And with that, you get tested to find out if you've had like the antibodies for the virus, and also to find out if you're a carrier of it right now. And so we get that every time there's an event. You go in, you get your result back within the next day or two. So, and then that's kind of how you can kind of protect against having guys come in with the virus. And then on top of that, we have we've kind of split the gym into three different sections, so that when people are coming in to do workouts, they're completely separated from who else is in there. There's no contact. You're not using the same basketballs. So just trying to create ways to social distance and keep guys separated as much as possible, so that, guys that want to can still remain active.
Yeah. I didn't know about the finger prick. I don't do needles, so oof.
Yeah, it's not that bad. It's nowhere near as bad as like the intrusive nasal swab that finger pricks. It's not bad at all. I mean, I think the worst part about it is that they go for the same finger in like the same spot every single time.
Man.
So that adds up. I definitely have had some times where it would be like a couple of days later and like my index finger is just like a little red and sore there. And it's like, yeah, I guess I gotta like force a different finger on them next time.
I'm waiting for like, that's like the perfect excuse if your shot's broken or something's not going. Like, man, they keep pricking the same thing.
Yeah.
I can't feel my finger.
All right. Well, it sounds like things are starting to move forward though, which is good compared to what it was a few months ago when everything was just kind of on standstill. So hopefully in the future we'll have some updates for that. Kind of moving on now to the NFL. It's been kind of crazy since the Super Bowl ended. We had all the JJ Watt stuff happen, and like out of nowhere he just said wants to be released, and so now I kind of found it surprising that Houston was willing to just release him, not find a trade partner or anything like that, and yet they hold Deshaun Watson almost hostage now and when he's asking for a trade.
Yeah.
I mean, do you guys see JJ Watt going anywhere super impactful, and what do you see the Deshaun Watson situation playing out?
JJ Watt, I can see him, if I had to guess, I see him going to play with his brothers in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I think both of them are there, I believe.
Yeah,
and him and TJ Watt coming off the edge, that would be tough. So, Deshaun Watson, well, I hope he ends up in that red and gold. You feel me? So, I mean, that's still my hope for Deshaun Watson, but we'll see. Like you said, they're holding him hostage. They keep saying that they're not going to trade him or whatever, but now I'm starting to hear that the Panthers are about to make a big run at him. They just released like 4 people and freed up a bunch of cap space. And then they're talking about trading Christian McCaffrey for him. I don't know if I'd do that. I mean, Christian McCaffrey's your whole team. So,
yeah,
I don't know. And then Teddy Bridgewater, I guess, just unfollowed everybody from the organization. So, you know how that goes. So
I swear, that's like for some reason, the NBA and NFL, like, they love doing that stuff where they unfollow everyone. It's this whole mystery. Like, all these guys love that. I
think that's hilarious because it's like, I'll show these guys. I'll go on social media and hit that.
Man, that's the thing to do.
That'll show the owner on his business, dude. Come on. That's so good. Yeah. I mean, we eat it up. Like, we all the fans and media, we love that stuff. So, I mean, it must work to some extent.
It's just added drama. For me, I think that the whole difference between J.J. Watt and Deshaun with the Texans, I think they let Watt walk so easily because he's significantly older. He's at a point where he has he's bouncing. He has almost a semi-significant injury every single year. And I'm sure that between that and his contract, it was going to be nearly impossible to actually swing him and get anything back. So I think that's why it was, although they made it seem really nice to let him walk, I'm pretty sure that those other factors were probably the bigger things. I seem like my first thought is that he would go be with his brothers with the Steelers. I could definitely see that happening. Like Justin just mentioned, both of them coming around the ends would be pretty huge. I also kind of would not be surprised if he ends up in like Tampa with Brady. Brady down there, to me, I could see the impact where he's just having guys come in that just want to get rings to come just lock on and get that opportunity for the on the low, kind of similar to what's happened in the past, especially in the NBA. I could see him going there. I did see that there was some discussion the other day about Cleveland, but honestly, I can't imagine any free agent really itching to go to Cleveland. Even now, I mean, they had a pretty decent season this past year, but I think that's more of a smokescreen, maybe a bargaining component, trying to maybe get get other teams to come up.
Yeah, like you said, I don't know with Pittsburgh. I don't know how good that cap situation is, because I know Big Ben is looking for a contract, maybe one more year, and so I don't know their loyalty to Ben, how strong it is. But if he's asking for a certain amount, he's kind of gonna hamstring them to a certain way.
Yeah,
so
he's on still for next year. So from what I'm hearing, therefore, in order for him to come back, he has to restructure to take less. Like from what I hear, it's like he was gonna have like some ridiculous cap hit, like 20-25 million, and they're just not doing that. So, and he doesn't produce either. So, I was reading the other day, they asked the manager about Big Ben. They were like, he's our quarterback today. So obviously, there's not much commitment there. I don't think. Yeah. As for Deshaun, I would love to see him join the Niners. I think that would make that team look really good. I was talking about it with a couple of friends the other day. I would completely understand if the Niners swung somebody like Nick Bosa or somebody on that defense, as great as he is. But I just feel like they've done such a good job of like replacing and rebuilding defensive players. So you might take a little bit of a hit losing Bosa, because like you're not going to find somebody as good as Bosa. But what Deshaun could bring on the offensive side of the ball, I think that would just be it would be worth it, because I don't think suddenly because you lose Bosa they would suddenly just be like trash on defense.
Oh no, the D line would still be tough. Deshaun Watson would have some weapons to throw that ball to. So that would definitely be a very good pickup for the Niners. So I'm hoping, I'm praying that happens. So
it's kind of crazy though. Like Niner fans all the way to the Super Bowl, it was Jimmy G. Like he's our guy, and then 1 year later, it's all of a sudden like, nah, Jimmy's trash. Get him out of here. Go get Deshaun. Go get someone. You know, it's kind of just represents how crazy the league is with the NFL, how crazy turnaround is, and it's like it's a what have you done for me lately kind of league.
Like they say, it's a business.
It is,
man. It's crazy.
It is. It doesn't.
I know, and
it doesn't help that Jimmy is like so consistently hurt too. So and I know. Thinking about Deshaun, I mean, I don't know what other team would possibly be more of a front runner than the Niners, because they do have the picks from what I know, and they have the ability to go get him, and they have the want. I mean, like you thought someone maybe like the Colts, but the Colts just went and got Carson Wentz, so for a pretty cheap price, which is good for them. So I'm wondering who else could possibly even compete for that Watson bid.
I mean, like I know Miami was in it just because they have Tua. So, I mean, that's a good trade piece, but it doesn't really seem like people are sold on Tua too much this early. So, I don't know. We'll see, man. We will see.
Yeah, that is going to be fun to kind of watch as the offseason progresses. I think they end up dealing him. I mean, they're probably holding out for the right price, maybe something around draft time once teams get a little more desperate. But, I mean, I just can't see them hanging on to him. Like, what would be the point?
I think they'll have to. Honestly. I just think he just won't play. I mean, I don't think that's in his character, but like he just wants out so badly. I wouldn't be surprised if he just didn't play. Like,
yeah, I think it's a wrap there. I think that Houston's just trying to get they don't want to get lowballed. So they're just playing hard to get right now, trying to keep the trade value high, get as much as they can. If he did go to Carolina, I don't know what his weapons would be after you get rid of Christian McCaffrey. Like, I get it. I get it. I get swinging McCaffrey for him because McCaffrey's already hitting that point where he's getting hurt. He's already running backs only last maybe 4 or 5 years. So I absolutely understand. I just don't know what else from an individual standpoint Deshaun's going to have to work with once he gets there.
Yeah. I mean, he would have DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, but that That O-line isn't that great. Their defense is decent. They're pretty solid. But yeah, I mean, I feel like he would have kind of a similar O-line as he did in Houston, where he's getting sacked all the time. Yeah. Rarely has time to throw the ball. So,
and like you said, like it was good when they had Hopkins. He needs that. Like, he's obviously a great player, but he needs that you need that key receiver. Like, every quarterback needs that key receiver. And I don't know if he went to Carolina. I don't know if he'd have that. Really. Yeah, so we'll see how that plays out. I think Houston's just being extra cautious after everyone clowned them for the Hopkins trade and their dealings there. So I think they're going to take it nice and slow. They don't want to get fleeced like last time. They're sick of being a laughing stock, which is
exactly.
All right, on to the NBA. It was confirmed. There was rumors going around that there would be an All-Star game, even though no fans are allowed in the stands right now for most teams. So March 7th is happening. What do you guys think about this? Because we've already had so many games have to be delayed and stopped and started and all this other stuff. Is it a good idea to be flying like the league's top players into one spot, even with all the protocols they had in place?
I don't think it's a good idea, but I also feel like the NBA, the players are to a point where they want to have a lot of things their way and not give anything back. Like they don't want to have the All-Star game, but from what I'm understanding, they also aren't voting to give back the percentage of money that would have been brought in for that. It's like you're asking a lot right now, you know. And I mean, I get it. I mean, if you're a player, like, who wants to give money back?
Yeah.
But just like from a business standpoint, I mean, it's in your contract. I mean, I feel like if you want to opt out of it, you can opt out, and you just don't collect off of it if you don't participate. I think it's easy as that. I mean, I think that the protocols are going to help, but the big thing about it is you're having guys flying in from so many different teams across the country. If even one or two people end up getting sick, it could potentially spread across the entire league.
Yeah, man. So exactly.
That's the big thing about it. I think the NBA, from what I hear, they did not outright cancel the All-Star weekend at the beginning of the season. They just said they weren't going to have it in Indiana anymore. But it's like they probably should have just canceled it outright at that time. That way, we're not even having these discussions right now.
Yeah. Like you said, if the players don't want to play, you know, I mean, you can't want to take the money at the same time, like. Right. So, I mean, but I mean, I understand it from both sides. I understand it from the league side. I understand it from the player side. But like you said, if one or two people, you know, get sick, get infected, it kind of just spreads. Like, shoot, Steph was out yesterday.
Yeah.
They say it wasn't league protocol, but do we know that for sure? You know what I mean? Yeah. So, right.
And it kind of sucks because like the best part of the All-Star game is like everyone that's there is usually happy to be there, and it's like a event. And now you got a lot of players speaking out saying like they don't even really want to go. Like Steph was saying, he's like kind of whatever on it. It is what it is what he said, I think. So, I mean, it kind of makes me wonder about the quality what we're gonna see. Like I know they found success with the new format last year with the playing to a certain amount and stuff, but I'm wondering if it's going to be even less of a product than it usually is, because I know everyone's just there for the offense and all this stuff, and it's just kind of fun. But how much effort, I guess, are we going to see with no fans in the stands and players that don't really want to be there and things like that?
It'll probably go back to the way it was prior to last year. I mean, to me, quality-wise, I don't really watch the All-Star game thinking we're going to get like a super competitive game anyway. It's kind of more of a celebration than anything. Like it would be nice, like, but I see why it wouldn't be. Guys aren't trying to get hurt. They're really this is really time off between the first and the second half of the season. So I mean, I don't think that it's going to make it considerably worse. Guys are going to get out there and they're going to play however they want to play anyways, because once you're there, you're there. Like not playing hard, but you're still on the court with everybody else is not going to really do anything. So it's just one of those things where I just think that the players just have to decide whether they want to opt in or opt out.
Yeah, I think it has a chance of being semi-competitive just because of some of the storylines. Like KD, he kind of has to pick Kyrie first because he's his teammate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
And then LeBron, he picks, say, Luka or Dame. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of a storyline in itself because Dame, in my opinion, was a snub compared to Luka.
Yeah.
Then you got guys like Joel Embiid, who he don't like anybody in the league, it seems like. He always trying to fight somebody. So, I mean, I feel like it could be, at least semi-competitive, just kind of depending on who picks who and all that type of stuff. So, But yeah, we'll see. It's just kind of, like you said, it's just kind of the attitude that they come with. If they come with the attitude, like they don't really care to be here, it just is what it is, then we're probably going to get a performance like that. But if guys come out and, just play, I mean, nobody really plays hard in the All-Star game, but yeah, I mean, we'll see. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I actually think they could have done a couple of things to be more creative, like get rid of the game. But imagine like if you just had like a bunch of like skill competition type things, like still do the 3-point contest. Guys don't have to interact. You're not having to cross paths. You can still do that. You can do like the horse. You can do the skill. I forget the skills comp where the passing and between. All that. And then I'm pretty sure there's some other different things they probably could have came up with so that, you still have some kind of activity, but guys aren't necessarily, being right amongst each other. I think they could have been more creative about it.
Yeah.
So getting back to the snubs you're talking about, the rosters were announced. You talked about Dame being a snub, and I think even Luka said that Dame should have been in there. So is there any other snubs that you think probably should have been in there besides Dame?
To me, that was really just the main one that stood out to me. Bradley Beal got in. I definitely feel like he was deserved.
I think I'm pretty sure he's a starter.
Yeah, he's a starter.
He should be.
So far, they've only announced the starter so far. So
okay.
I think the coaches vote for the bench, and I think that'll probably come out. I mean, probably this coming week. I think starter wise, I think it's really just Dame, and I feel like Luka, like they've been underachieving all season. He's a high volume shooter. He's had some good performances here and there, but Dame's been like killing it entire season. No CJ McCollum, no Nurkic, which is usual. No Zach Collins, which is also usual. But I mean, he's just been balling.
Yeah, I definitely say Dame is the only one I can really think of on top of my head. But yeah, we'll see, once all the reserves are announced. But Luka, like you said, he's had a decent season. I think he's just fallen victim to all of the high praises and him. He was like one of the main people they were talking about getting MVP this year. And and he hasn't had a terrible season, but he definitely hasn't performed to that MVP level.
That expectation that everyone was expecting him to take that next step this season, and he hasn't taken it.
Right. It also helps him a lot too. He has basically an entire country voting for him. That's always the thing about like the big time guys, the overseas guys that come over, and like they're well deserving. But like when you open it up for the fan vote, and you have literally everybody from said player's country or where they're from voting for behind them, like that was a thing with Yao Ming. To I think Dirk was always really high up there. A couple of years ago, Zaza Pachulia almost got in there.
Yes.
I don't really know how you.
Shoot, even Clay was like
he was getting
top
votes.
5. Yeah, he was getting a bunch of votes. Yeah. Like, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the other thing too is that I thought was weird the fan, I get that if the argument is that it's for the fans, okay, I understand that. But they've also introduced the media vote and the player vote for the starters. They've won both the player vote and the media vote.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure why I'm hearing that the fan vote was the tiebreaker. Like,
Yeah.
where was the tie there?
Yeah. It almost just makes it seem like the NBA is just going to do what it's going to do. And they're like, oh, well, the other two votes we don't really care about. It's just to make the players and media, involved. But in reality, we're just going to roll with the fan vote.
Right.
Man, I just feel like Dame gets snubbed like every year.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
every single year for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's borderline. It's disrespectful, honestly.
Man, really.
It's disrespectful.
Like, how much more can that man do?
Yeah, he's like. I think it's because he's stuck up in Portland, which is kind of isolated from the rest of the league in terms of like geographics and stuff like that. And so you get a lot of teams. Like no one on the East Coast is like staying up to watch a Trailblazer game. It's just not happening. So I mean,
that's very true.
I think that bias kind of plays into it, where everyone just kind of forgets he's up in the top left corner of the country, just balling out, and no one's paying attention.
Right. I do like that he uses it as fuel, though. Mm-hmm. It seems to like really fuel him, which I think is a great thing.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. Our favorite player, everyone's favorite player, Boogie Cousins, was released yet again. Yeah, it is what it is. What do you guys think this means for his future? I mean, he just can't seem to stick to any team for too long. It's kind of
do we know why? I don't even know why he was released. I literally just saw on Twitter that the Rockets were gonna release him. I have no clue why.
Yeah,
I read this morning that, so first of all, they guaranteed his contract on Friday. So they made his contract for the season guaranteed, and then they released him yesterday. And the thing is, what they're putting out there is that they want to focus more on the younger guys, more athletic guys, and then Christian Wood, when he comes back, being able to play more. Boogie, although he had performed well for them, his style of play just isn't conducive to what they're trying to do. So I think it's more of a style fit. But the reason they guaranteed it is because like they're trying to send the sign that, he was positive. He had a positive impact while he was there. He wasn't a problem guy. He was a mentor to the younger guys. So he wasn't an issue. It was really just more of a style. And I think that's what the main messaging has been so far.
So do you think a contender picks him up down the line here? I think if what you said is like true, that he was no attitude problem there and it was all good, then do you see a contender picking him up that needs that kind of bench depth?
I think so.
Oh yeah.
I think it's just a matter of, it's to the point where now Boogie's gonna have to, like, as much as he wants to play, because of his style of play, the fact that he keeps getting hurt, he doesn't move very well. Not only is he no longer going to be an all-star, he's borderline not going to play at all. And I just don't know if he's to that point yet, because it's like the Lakers could use some more size because AD went out. Gasol is always in foul trouble. So I can see signing him because, they need some extra help there. But how much is he going to play? I don't know. I saw Brooklyn is interested because they need more size, obviously. But again, he can't run. I would love to see him back with the Warriors, but I mean, again, they have Wiseman, and Looney does a pretty decent job when he's in there. So again, I don't know how much he's going to play, and because of that, like, there's no team that plays really at a pace that's going to allow him to really play very much.
Yeah, the Warriors are an interesting shout because they do have injury trouble at center position. So I mean, it would be interesting to see them like maybe throw a vet minimum deal at him and for the season and see how it goes, because I know they're kind of pushing for that 8th seed right now, but I don't know, they've been kind of really passive. Like Steve Kerr a couple weeks ago said they're not pushing to win games when we were questioning why Steph wasn't in for a certain amount of minutes, and so it's kind of seems like the Warriors are just kind of letting it ride this year. So I don't know if they would take that chance with Boogie, even though I think they should.
Yeah, personally, I think he ends up either with the Lakers or the Nets. If I had to pick one of the two, I'd say the Lakers, just because, like you said, I mean, he just his fit. He's not really, a fast guy. And I think you can plug him in for Marc Gasol. We definitely lose defense in that sense. Marc Gasol is definitely not a great defender by any means, but he's a better defender than not anymore at least. But he's a better defender than DeMarcus Cousins. So yeah, I could kind of see them, maybe throwing him in there for Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol, he doesn't. Some nights he'll play a lot. Some nights he'll play, 10, 12 minutes somewhere in there. I just don't see him being a great fit with the Nets, just because they have so much offensive firepower. I don't know. I just don't see where he would fit in there.
He doesn't.
Yeah, he doesn't really help them, like you said. Defensively, he wouldn't help them by any means. I guess he'd be another big body, to give DeAndre Jordan some rest. But yeah, I don't know. I feel bad for him, honestly. Ever since he went down with the Achilles injury, it's kind of just been downhill for him. And before that, he was a 2020 guy, like with ease. So
as a question out of this, though, like big picture wise, when it comes to Boogie, are the Sacramento Kings the true winners here? Because like they did not cash him out when they could have. Like, are they, like, as much as people always talk bad about him, about like not paying him because he was their star player and he loved it there, are they the real winners?
That's what it seems like. They didn't spend millions, hundreds of millions of dollars on him when they probably should have. You know what I mean? He was probably worth it back then, at least. But yeah, I mean, if you look at it that way, they've saved a ton of money. So
but also they haven't used it wisely in any way. They haven't done anything since then.
That's true.
That's you're right. I mean, that's probably the closest the Kings have gotten to like a big victory in a long time. I mean, the Kings are gonna king. They're just they can raise the banner that they didn't pay Boogie Cousins $100 million or whatever they want. So good for them. All right, so we talked earlier about the All-Star game coming up. So the All-Star, that means obviously the All-Star break is coming up. Is there any team out there that surprised you the most so far this season?
Me personally, I would have to go with the Charlotte Hornets. I really enjoy watching them play. They've got a lot of young, talented guys. I'm a really big fan of LaMelo. And Terry Rozier has been killing it this year.
Get that shot against the Warriors last night. Fading away.
Oh, my God. That was tough. Yeah, like the past 4 games, he's been averaging like 36, something like that. Somewhere in there. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of at least watching the Charlotte Hornets. You know what I mean? So, yeah, they'd definitely be the one team that surprised me. If I had to go with another team, I would say the Wizards, just because I thought that they would be better than they've been this year. I'm a really big Russell Westbrook fan. That's my favorite player in the league. So, I'm always ride for him. But yeah, I thought they would have a little bit better record than they do now, but they've won like 4 or 5 straight, somewhere in there. So, it could be turning around. But yeah, those would definitely be the 2 teams I'd go with.
Yeah. For me, I think the most impressive or interesting piece is like there's so many teams that are just hovering right around 500. There's a couple of teams that I thought would be a few games above that. Like I thought Dallas would be a little bit better.
Oh yeah.
Even with I don't feel like Houston should be as bad as what they really are. Like when you have Depot, you have Wall, you have Cousins, you have Christian Wood who was balling, you still have PJ Tucker, you still have Eric Gordon. I really feel like there's no reason that they shouldn't at least be one team right around 500.
Yeah.
So that's like big picture wise something that stands out to me. But from a like, if I had to pick a team that's like I'm just like surprised by the Knicks right now.
Yeah.
Like the Knicks, I had no idea. And I think that they're like a game or two below 500, but that's decent for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that's been crazy. Julius Randle is suddenly out there. He's out there looking like young Bernard King.
Okay, so you mentioned the Knicks. Any other teams that have surprised you so far?
No, that's pretty much it right now, man. I feel like the Knicks they're a respectable team right now, so I got to give them a little bit of a shout out for that. Hopefully they can proceed all year. I don't know that I'm like saying that they'll make the playoffs, but it's just nice to have some Knicks spotlight for a change.
I mean, maybe it'll help them, lure in a free agent this year. Hopefully, I mean, they got some young talent. So
every year,
I don't know who the player would be even now they would sign on to play with the Knicks, man. I think they're gonna have to be one of those, like, they're gonna have to be a homegrown team. I don't see anybody going there, especially now that Brooklyn's popping.
I think it was KD that said it or in his free agency earlier, that is like, everyone says to the Knicks, but the Knicks haven't been the popular spot since like the 90s or something like that, so early 2000s. Yeah. So we've grown. I've grown up. The Knicks have never been like the destination. I've never been like, oh, they got to go to the Knicks. It's always someone else. So the Knicks, you're right, are gonna have to start turning to that kind of homegrown talent until they can build up their rep back to where it was to bring in those free agents.
Yeah. There used to be. I mean, the big thing was always about New York guys always wanted to go play with the Knicks, but honestly, since Melo, and I was even talking to another friend the other day, like, who are the big New York guys that are in?
I don't really. I can't think of any off the top of my head, really.
Yeah. It's the tables have turned. Like, it was always New York. I mean, at least like ball handlers, there was always a bunch of New York guys. And now, I mean, is it Kemba? I think Kemba's the best New York player.
Yeah. I mean, for me, kind of surprising, like not in a good way, but the Heat, they've kind of fallen off. They're at 13 and 17 right now. I mean, they're not out of it, obviously, but after their nice finals run last year, you kind of expected a strong year on the bounce back, and they've just kind of been flat and slow. They look like they're fatigued from that finals run, which is kind of weird. But the Heat have definitely surprised me. They haven't lived up to the expectations, I would say.
Yeah, I think that their issue, they got hit by a lot of the health and COVID protocols early on, so they haven't had any kind of consistent rotation in the entire season.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I know. I was just gonna say another team I kind of thought of off the top of my head. It's the Sixers. I mean, I think they're in first place in the East right now, I believe. But the thing that kind of surprises me about them, it's like whenever Joel Embiid plays, they win. But when he doesn't, they lose. like every time he doesn't play, they lose. And it'll be to the Pistons. It doesn't matter who they play, they lose. I guess that says who Joel Embiid is as a player. But I mean, I feel like they have enough talent to where they should be beating the Pistons and the Pelicans and them type of teams without Joel Embiid. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I guess it just kind of surprises me that they're in first in the East. I would probably, at least at the beginning of the season, I probably would have picked about 2 or 3 teams that would have been first over them. But Yeah, it just surprised me how bad they play without Joel Embiid with all that talent that they have.
And that kind of makes me wonder how deep of a run and how real this actually is they can make, because if they can't win without Embiid, what are they going to do in the playoffs when the defenses are targeting Embiid and then you got to rely on your other guys?
Yeah, exactly. Like even the other day, Ben Simmons goes out, drops like 45, 12, and 9, and they lose. He dropped the career high and they lose. Went off, and they still end up losing. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I think the reason I think that they're finally winning is I think Doc, finally getting Embiid to play the way he needs to play consistently, not to hang out so much around the 3-point line. I think that helps a lot because nobody can guard you in the paint. So, why would you waste that?
Mm-hmm.
Seth Curry, yep. They need shooting. Anytime Ben Simmons is your primary ball handler, you got to have, great shooters around him.
Yeah.
So, I think that those are the two main factors. But,
I think I read somewhere where Seth is on track to be the first 50, 100 guy, I think it is. I don't know if he's missed a free throw since then. But at the time he was shooting 50% from the field, 50% from 3, and 100 from the free throw line, which is, ridiculous.
Yeah.
I wonder if he can keep up that pace, because I don't think Seth Curry is going to be the one that does that first in the. As we kind of wrap up here, we're just wondering, any guests, Jonathan, that you think we should bring on the pod in the coming weeks? I know we had a good one last week. I need, maybe you guys can tell me a little bit more about them, but is there any others you think we should get on?
I think that I have a trainer that I think we should try to get on. He's played overseas a little bit. It would be pretty good to kind of get him on and kind of pick his brain about playing overseas and what he's doing now, and just kind of throw around some old war stories. His name's Vaughn Canta. I think he'd be pretty good.
All right, that sounds good. Jonathan, thanks for coming on the pod, chopping up a bit. We talked so long that the first Zoom meeting ended in the middle of our recording. So it's easy to get lost around this time when there's no sports going on and you can kind of just focus on one and get into the depth of it. All right. Thanks so much, Jonathan. And we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you.
All right, that was Jonathan Smith. Thanks so much again for coming back on the pod, chopping it up a bit about sports, even though there's not much going on. We still had a fun conversation. Thank you all for watching and listening to this week's pod. If you have anyone you want featured, whether it's a player, coach, or member of the community, don't hesitate to reach out to us on our social channels at Solano Stallions. Follow us there on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully you decide to join us again next time. And if you do, we'll see you then.